Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I anticipate that my voice is being heard.
It is.
Thank you. This evening, we meet on behalf of the steering committee for the Book of Mormon, the celebration of his 200th birthday in Lamoni in 2030. And I have on the screen a picture of Graceland, which is the university campus where we will be hosting this activity. That is the administration building center. And I'll have another picture later to show more of the facility, the Shaw Center, where many of our activities will be. I wanted to review the list of steering committee members as I have it at present. And it includes Rachel Killebrew, who is the Community of Christ archivist, John Charles Duffy, who has volunteered to help coordinate the worship experience. I attempted to get a hold of him to see what he thought about the idea of having two Sundays to work with, but I have not heard back from him. Casey Griffiths from BYU, Ron Smith, who's a restorationist, Josh Gailey of the Monongahela Saints, and he particularly wanted to help us focus upon how we celebrate. Jack Ergo, the retired music master from Graceland, also on celebration, and he has, I think he said, six operettas that have been submitted that perhaps could be combined into part of the celebration. John Godfrey from Graceland, he is assistant to the president and so key Graceland coordinator. Steve Murdoch, who's on the Lamoni City Council, although I think maybe he just now retired, so that may not be the appropriate term for him anymore, but I still am presuming him on the steering committee. On the other hand, we have his colleague is with us this evening. If I could remember who it is, well, it's um, Tony Crandall. Tony Crandall's with us, and so since he's on the Lamoni City Council and has been for half of forever, then his voice certainly would be welcome there. Val Larson, James Lucas, David Bollybrook are all of the LDS, and they are coordinators of the colloquy. Mark Hensley is volunteered to, and he's a member of the Lamoni Historical Association. He is volunteered to work with the program for youth, and I think he'll be with us later this evening. John Hamer from Canada is Community of Christ. Aaron Laughlin is our financial coordinator for the Lamoni Historical Association, and he's on with us tonight. Diane Slade is our secretary, and fortunately she's with us again. Eva Yelly is a conference planner, and she's also on the Lamoni Historical Association. Dewey Clark is from Hawaii, but I think moved now to Washington or Oregon. Frank Fry, Robert Cook on technology, Eric Scott. The Book of Mormon Foundation has given us Mr. Wilson, Zach Wilson, and he is with us tonight. So I am so pleased because you'll see that my note has the Book of Mormon Foundation, but not Zach Wilson on it. And then I am Paul DeBarthe, the president of the Lamoni Historical Association, the first sponsor and mover to try to make this thing happen. If you would join me in prayer together, I think that's the appropriate place to begin. Author of the universe, who promised to come to the children of men and did, in the form of Jesus the Christ, to offer hope for us to live eternally. We bow in appreciation, in awe that we see your signature in the masterpieces of your creation, evident in our DNA, in the galaxies, in all that you have made, beautiful internally and externally. We gather this evening to embark and continue upon a journey begun by our ancestors thousands of years ago, a journey to the promised land, a place and people of peace, One prophesied and sought by the ancients that one day their descendants would know. It's exemplified by the Book of Mormon with its accounts of migrations to the land of promise, most of which ended in dysfunctionality, wickedness, and war. And yet, those who followed Jesus found the promised land, learned to live in peace, taught their children to reason in the language of love so they would learn war no more. This evening, we pray for your spirit to lead us, as it did the families of Jared and Lehi, to be able to celebrate the remarkable gift of the promised land and open our hearts and minds to withstand the turbulence of life as we are guided by your hand. For we gather to plan, to celebrate, to acknowledge the awesome nature of your design uncovered 200 years ago in a book, which survives to instruct, to tell stories, to inspire those who will give it a second look. And we thank you for blessing us with the hope it offers, the challenge to embrace the prospects for our children to have life eternally. While seeking your blessing on this steering committee, volunteers to guide our ongoing journey to the promised land, to be celebrated in 5 years with joyous enteleki. And so we pray in the name of Jesus, the Prince of Peace. Amen. The picture is again of Graceland, and it shows the overall complex. The football field is at the south side of the campus, and the ad building that you saw in the previous picture is up here, if you can see my arrow. The Shaw Center, which is where we will have the majority of our activities, is in this big long building. The dining hall is uh, back over here. And so well, it's a major campus, golf course behind where the picture was taken. And so it is a major facility that can handle a major gathering. And so we are in the process of planning for that. And at this stage, then I would go to the agenda and put it before you. And if you'll look at the agenda, then we have the introduction of the steering committee members. We have the prayer. Then we call on Diane for the review of the September minutes. Diane.
Go for it.
Okay. So,
You gotta mute yourself.
where am I?
Sorry. We're running one mic, two computers.
All right.
I am muted.
I hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So basically last time we met, we were discussing that in the summer of 2030 is when this will be taking place. We will have 10 topics that we'll wanting to discuss throughout the event. And we want to have items that we'll also be working with the youth, which will work with more of those, especially with Mark Hensley helping us out with that. We've got a couple people involved that will be helping us out with music throughout the event. We were discussing different options for financing. And then also, this last meeting was just a really quick overall of what things we're needing to look at. So we're also talking about the housing for people who are coming, and then the different food items that they will be able to have. Working with advertising. And then we had concerns also about how long do we want this event to be? Is it going to be a weekend, or is it going to be a week long kind of thing? And then we'll be talking about that here next, but there's a survey that we had presented to be able to put together to answer a lot of these questions. At that point, we had also, before that meeting, we had asked to see if the Community of Christ, the presidency would be able to be involved, and they've got their hands in a lot of other things at the moment, so they will not be able to be helping us out with this event, but maybe in the future we can get that going. So that's kind of just a real rough of what we were trying to put together last week or last couple months ago.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Okay, and Rachel Killebrew drafted a survey. I modified it a bit. I think Steve may have had some influence on it as well. And what were the results, Steve?
We only got 2 people that responded through the survey. And Josh Gailey and Scott Ullman, I guess. I can't remember. Anyway, they both were very interested. They would be willing to attend between 1 to 3, possibly 5 days. They were, so they were very excited about it and things like that. But we didn't get a broad enough response. I resubmitted the survey again because I realized the first time I sent it out I did it wrong. Resubmitted and I still didn't get any responses back, so I don't know if we can try again. I don't know what we need to do, but we've got time to try to collect this data, but like I said, it was not satisfactory. And that's one of the big things we're having trouble with, is getting feedback from people as we send things out. So
we did get feedback from one additional person who indicated the end of July was a time of conflict with the onset reunion, and so that with that voiced, you'll see that last week of July is not included in the projections of the on the agenda this evening. All right, so let's take a quick look at the consideration of the scope of the bicentennial event. What option would be the maximal would be to go, I think, for 8 days, Sunday through Sunday. If we did that, it would be July 21 through 28 or August 4 through 11. The advantage of that, it gives 2 Sundays for worship. It expands the amount of colloquy time to make it so that 50 presentations could be given and not have to be stacked too much on top of each other. To be able to have more evenings for celebratory activities would be another advantage of this strategy. I'll pause there because I anticipate that will stir some questions and comments. I think we just will take them as we go along. I'm not where I can see hands raised, so shout out if you want to speak. All right, then the second option would be to go to a minimal 3-day experience, and that could be basically a Friday through Sunday, July 26 through 28 or August 2 through 4. And the advantage there is that it keeps it short, makes it so that people would be able to come for the 3 days and experience the whole thing. Whereas if you go back and look at the 8 days, because there'll be, we're anticipating possibly 1,000 people on site, maybe 10 times that on the internet. But for people to be able to come for the days, the events that they're most interested in, but not presumed to stay through the week, would be one consideration there. When you go to 3 days, it seriously truncates the opportunity for the colloquy presentations. And have a slide later to show the 10 topics that are being considered. And if you have 5 presentations on each of those topics, there's 50. And you need several days to be able to take care of 50 presentations. And so here you're getting the tug and pull. And then, of course, the third option is the moderate one in between, to go with 5 or 6 days ending on July 28 or August 4. And um, that now all three of those options are before us. And I'm interested in hearing any comments that you would care to make.
Paul, have you thought about the funding, the budgetary implications of each of the three options? Was that premature to think about that?
Um, Aaron is scheduled on the end. Like, see, if you look at the agenda there, I see consideration of program, worship, youth, colloquium, celebration, and financing. And so we've got Aaron on board to share with that, to share some concept about that tonight. But that's a good, perfectly legitimate question. Um, yeah, we're talking about for the Untold Lamoni stories. It's costing us $1,000 a day for use of Shaw Center. And given that kind of a comparatively small expense compared to the number of people that can take advantage of it, um, and particularly if we can get some upfront money to help cover some of that, then the cost is not going to be particularly great, I think. However, the benefits I think will be. All right, so there's the agenda. And let me move on then. I just will stop sharing, I guess.
I think Aaron, I thought I saw Aaron raise his hand. I might be mistaken.
Aaron, you want to jump in there now? Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. You need to unmute.
Okay, I didn't know I could turn myself off. Okay, so I'll put together something for each of those days, and it'd probably be just a standard amount per day. But one of the things I wanted to suggest is that FIFA is going to be here in Kansas City around that time. So before we solidify that date there, I wanted to check and see what dates are going to be down here because that's going to be a huge thing. And I'm not sure if Graceland's going to be able to rent out some of their space to some of those folks that are coming in from abroad to watch the football games or not. But that's a huge thing that's going on here in Kansas City.
That's
I
this
was
year.
just looking for my schedule at Chihuahua while we were looking there, and I was trying to see because I put it on the schedule just in case we had some stuff there. Another option is also that we could, with any of those dates, 2026 has not been solidified for our schedule at Chihuahua. And the reason I'm saying that, I'm the president of the Chihuahua board. And so there's some campgrounds there and dorm space if we needed it for this, as well as at the university, Graceland. It's not that far away; it's a couple hours, but that's a possibility as well. So we can think about that in our deliberations.
Aaron, if I may, the World Cup is this coming year, is it not?
Yeah,
20,
it's coming in 26. Oh, we were talking about a different year, aren't we?
yeah, we're talking
Uh,
about 2030, so no conflict there.
oh, good. Okay, unless we get it again. I'm sorry.
Okay. All
So
right.
depending on which one of these things that we going to vote on this tonight to see what we're heading toward for the different time frames for the stuff. I mean, it'd be great to have it for 8 days, but I'm not sure how many people are going to be able to put something on for 8 days.
Well, very few would actually be involved for all 8 days, I think. They would be primarily those of us that are local and regional that would be involved all 8 days. It would be, my perception would be that people would come for 2 or 3 days that they were primarily interested in.
Okay.
And then they would be tuning in on the internet for others that they want to get. And because so much of it would be recorded, that is, the colloquies would be recorded and published, so that becomes available after the fact as well.
Okay.
That's my perception. Um, Steering committee gets the final say on all this stuff. And oh, wait, good. There's Josh. All right. Um, yeah. Any other comments on those three options in terms of schedule scope? Well, let's move on. Um, John Charles Duffy has volunteered to coordinate the worship, and I sent him an email and didn't get a response back to verify just what he thought about that. But the idea of having celebrations, that is to say, religious celebrations on 2 Sundays instead of just one, has some advantage, I think. Um, to be able no, but again, whoever's coordinating that and what you perceive as the needs remain a matter to be worked out. The moderate position of going for 5 or 6 days, Monday through Sunday, for example, would be the compromise position, and that would allow for a significant number of people to participate in the colloquy, and that, of course, is an important factor for us. Although, again, they will be taped, and so they can be made accessible beyond. All right, then, John Charles, I don't see on the forum tonight, so but there's other people interested in that, and any of you that have consulted with him or involved in that committee, you're certainly welcome to speak up. If not, then let's go to Mark Hennessy and the youth. Mark Hensley was planning to be on with us, and I think he indicated, Bruce, you were supposed to cover for him if he wasn't on. And Bruce, you disappeared. There you are. Yeah, I
His
see your-
window's still on, but I don't see Bruce.
Well, I've talked with Mark to some extent on this matter, and he's interested in seeing activities for little kids, middle-aged kids, and older kids. We have the distinct benefit of Blair Bryant. Blair, you're on. If you would please share with us about the 13 books that you sent.
Okay. My mother wrote 2 major Book of Mormon books. The first one, she started when I was 9 years old, between the covers of the Book of Mormon, which many people will recall. The second one, that one was strictly for children, written as, stories like Daniel and the Lion's Den and Bible. The second one was the short Book of Mormon, which she published in early 2000s. I don't remember the specific date, but she had originally planned for that to be published, and the church dragged its feet multiple times over years. She had a Book of Mormon all underlined what she thought should go in a short Book of Mormon. The short Book of Mormon was to take out things that were lengthy narratives that did not deal with the story of the people. The dreams and the visions and things like that, and the scriptures are not heavily covered in the short Book of Mormon. But the story of the Lehi, his sons, how they've separated into different groups, how they move from place to place, the story of the people is what's covered in the short Book of Mormon. Now, the short Book of Mormon only went through one printing, and my mother died in 2011. But when I went back to her funeral and found this box of 13 books that had her signature in them, along with she had gone to what she called Lights in the Wilderness, statements from the quotes from the Book of Mormon that she felt helped guide us in our lives, wise sayings, and so on. And my dad had drawn pictures for my mother's earlier books. She copied one of those and put it with each of the uh, Book of Mormon uh, special quotes that she called Light in the Wilderness. And she's been through the entire book, found every one of those, and individually covered or colored each of those characters from my dad's first book, and my mom's first book, but done by my dad. Dad was long gone by this time when she published the Short Book of Mormon, but that was back in the early 2000s. Anyway, she had 13 copies that were she had signed to give to friends and people, and I donated those to Paul, sent them, and he just got confirmation that they have arrived in Lamoni now and are going to be available for giving as prizes for people who um, I don't know what kind of prize you're going to award for them, but you're welcome to use them. And I think that you would find the Short Book of Mormon very good to give to people who want to know what's in the Book of Mormon without reading through all the wars and so on.
Thank you, Blair. That is an awesome contribution. And any of you that have recommendations on how those 13 books could be most effectively used as prizes or as gifts, I I would be pleased to hear those suggestions. I'm very pleased to hear that Steve waved a book in the air a while back to indicate that they'd arrived in Lamoni. That's most gratifying. So, but here's one of the first significant contributions to the Bicentennial of the Book of Mormon in Lamoni in 2030. Thank you, Blair.
You're welcome. Put them to good use.
We have time to think about it and work out the best use we can. So, thank you so kindly. All right, the colloquium would be the next area of consideration. And I don't see Val on the screen, nor the other gentlemen that are on that colloquium. I will go back to screen share and go back to, let's see if I can do that. Okay, there's the colloquy topics, geography of the book, archaeology, fundamental messages, linguistic and stylistic issues, witnesses, controversies concerning analytics, translation issues, benefits accrued, and possibly panel discussions. So those are ideas that were tossed out initially. We were looking initially at the possibility of a symposia, but that's typically limited to 1 or 2 day events. And since we're moving to more of a conference kind of a concept, then the colloquy will provide more extended academic presentations by specialists, and that's the reason for calling it a colloquy. But the discussion about what those topics are, fundamentally, I've left that in the hands of Val and his committee, and so I'm still on the original proposal here. But if you have comments on this one, then that'd be welcome at this time.
Paul, I don't have a comment on that, but Bruce is back with us if you had wanted to ask him about.
Bruce, if you have opportunity to or want to say something about the planning for youth, that would be welcome.
I'm having some troubles. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, well, Mark Hensley was unsure if he was going to be able to get logged back in time. they've had some vehicle problems, but he said that they talked about having uh, 3 or 4 groups for the kids, divided in different ages, and that for the oldest ones, they'd be given a copy of the Book of Mormon, and then the next uh, younger uh, be given between the corners of the Book of Mormon, and just uh, uh, simpler books as the groups go younger in age group.
Okay, if I have put up the original list of youth activities from the previous session, and notice there was a major focus on crafts with pottery, flint knapping, costuming, archery, athletic competition, bolas, foods, face painting. They were talking about the Blair Bryant book. Native dances is another possibility. A talent show, and for that matter, the kids can participate in the symposium or colloquy as well. And then Mark was suggesting he thought there ought to be classes. They ought to be considering classes for the young people as well. So that's a brief to indicate what's been working in that direction. And again, if there are any comments, um, we do want to make it appealing to the youth, because clearly that's an area where, at least in the community of Christ, that seems to have been a bit neglected.
The one in the hot pink sweatshirt.
Any comment? Okay, then let's go to the celebratory activities.
Well, I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
In your outline that you have now left the screen, I see nothing in there about the character's transcript. If I were going to be here, I would want to make a presentation. Not being able to transfer that knowledge to somebody else to give, I'm not sure that my previous comments will have any meaning, because where a person can make a representation of the characters, it doesn't make any sense unless we tell something about it.
Okay, well, Blair, the linguistic and stylistic issues would be one possible place for that kind of a presentation, as would the translation issues, because the translation of the character's document remains, or has remained, an issue before us for most of 200 years.
Yeah.
So the intent, I remember thinking about that when we were working on this, and I am not quite sure where that best fits, but I definitely would like to see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Blair is talking about his translation of the character's document and using hand signs to demonstrate those. So you have the mouth symbol, the tongue symbol, you have the symbol for the plates, the communication, and if you use those in sign language, then it becomes potentially a very interesting class and something kids could get into as well. But clearly, if he's not going to live long enough to do it himself, we're going to need somebody else to step in and do that. I'm encouraging him to live long enough to do it himself. He keeps coming
Well,
back and saying he doesn't think that's likely. It's only another 5 years.
no, yeah, I don't think that's likely.
And Blair, you won't even be 100 yet by then.
I've been 98. So right now, I could give a class in it, but I can't say that somebody else can, and I can't put it out for somebody else to do. And if you decide that you don't want to include the characters in there, then I will just back out of that area altogether.
I think that that is most unlikely. I happen to know the person that is the president of the organization that's sponsoring here, and he would very much, well, there's several different people who have attempted to make translations of the characters documents, and that's clearly a pivotal issue for this kind of conference, the colloquy to address. That's why we have I was projecting 5 different presentations on the linguistics and stylistic issues or on the translation issues. So whichever fits in best, I think that we need to be able to give people a chance to tell that story, and yours is the most compelling that I've seen so far on translating the characters document.
Well,
So
thank you for that. But
I will be an advocate for yours to be presented. And,
well,
I don't
I'll
think I
put
should.
it this way. If the Lord sees fit to keep me going that long, I'll do it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Blair, are you saying that you can't teach somebody to give that presentation?
I could, but I have nobody that seems to be willing to spend time with me to do that. And it's something that'll take time. I believe I can teach someone how to read that.
Looks
Steve?
like you have volunteer, Blair.
Steve has raised his hands.
Looks like you have a student. How much tuition do you charge?
Steve, were you
share.
gonna
How much
comment,
tuition?
Steve?
No, I'm saying I will do what Blair wants done.
That's Steve Slade.
Yes.
You will do what I want, and if you'll work with me on Zoom, we can work through it.
Yeah, all right, you can come where you are once in a while.
Steve is working on his master's degree in museology, and he's serving as my assistant at the Joseph Smith III site in Lamoni. He's on the board of directors. He's coordinating the Untold Lamoni Stories on February 27 and 28, and that will be an annual event building up to the Bicentennial. And so he only has a few other irons in the fire, and for him to make a trip to the East Coast to see you, Blair, I'm sure he'd be delighted because there's a bunch of museums he hasn't seen yet.
This wouldn't be a simple trip to the East Coast. We could do this by a Zoom, but it is going to take a long-term process. And Steve, it would be a commitment on your part to hang in there for a matter of months. I don't want to discourage you. I would like to encourage you. But
talk about it after the meeting a little bit, and we'll see if I'm a good fit for you.
I didn't understand.
I said, let's talk about it after the meeting, and I will we'll see if I'm a good fit for you.
Okay. Glad to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Paul, I have a question, Fred, here.
Fred.
Looking at your list of topics, is it appropriate to devote a whole topic to the global, if you will, the non-US, the international impact of the Book of Mormon on its bicentennial?
You'd like to propose the international impact as a topic to be considered?
Yes, just or just propose it for discussion here. I'm not sure if you may have specific objectives in mind. It's kind of just an abstract idea that the book has it's implied there, if you will, in the translation issues, but that's
right.
That's more technical discussion. I think it's gosh, I don't even know how to put words to it. Just the book has traveled well, far and wide and well, and You know, I know the Community of Christ has a strong presence in the country of India. It'd be fascinating to learn from, members of the community in India, for example, of what's done there. And anyway, just a thought. I just want to put that out there for consideration without any strong, uh, let's say, opinion about it. I'm an international person by nature, and that's why it comes to my mind, I think.
Well, I definitely like the idea. I would. It would be nice if we get a good, concise statement about how to put it in there as a topic.
Okay. I'll
International
get,
impact,
yeah, global impact or something.
global impact.
But I'll be interested if others have thoughts about that, because that's kind of a little bit autobiographical with me.
So you're effectively proposing to do a presentation on that topic then.
Uh, no, not really. I'd love to look for people from different countries who could talk to that topic, rather than have an American voice talk
Ah.
about the global impact. Have global voices, if you will, talk about the global impact. And again, we can, if you thought one from 5 different countries or however, if that's if I just don't know enough about what you would your method of operating, how you want to manage the cloaking.
The steering committee is the managing committee here. So your
Okay.
proposal is very welcome, and I would like to toss it over to Ron Smith because he's one of those people that's been taking the Book of Mormon to Africa. We have Frank Fry on the steering committee, and he's been translating the Book of Mormon into Swahili as well as Spanish. And to be able to see or share, if either of them is on and would like to share comments, I think that'd be welcome. But Diane will have the global impact question raised to put on there, and I'll put it in my notes as well. And I suspect there'll be more topics that people want to propose. And so this is not a final list. This is a beginning list. And so to be able to refine it, to try to get the topics that will have the most profound effect. And I think the global outreach is clearly one of those profound effects we want to at least begin to measure. So thank you for that suggestion. Any others?
Well, I just want to comment on that. You think about in the LDS Church, the vast majority of members are outside of the borders of the United States. So just by presenting a number of people who, in both Community of Christ and other churches that have used the Book of Mormon externally, even just giving numbers would be profound, I think, to show people that it is beyond our just to reach the United States. So I think that's a great topic.
And because it'll be on Zoom, a person from another country could readily share. We had on this forum just a few weeks ago, Ganesh Chiron, who was speaking to us from New Zealand, and to be able to, I mean, for him it was the next day, but to be able to have people like that share in the forum on the internet is also a possibility. So they wouldn't necessarily have to come to the Mormon to present, and to be able to have the worldwide representation is clearly part of the plan. So thank you, Fred, for highlighting that, and thank you for supporting us, Steve. I think that it's an idea that needs to be included, and I'm looking for others. Well, then let's go back to the celebratory activities. And I think we have Josh on. Josh, you have something to say about what we should be considering on the celebration?
Well, I like everything you have on the screen, Paul, and as far as my church goes, I'm sure we can rally the youth to have some segment within it for part of the time. I'm not sure the young people will be able to give up 8 days, but if it was a 5-day event, they might even be able to participate in the whole thing. So it just depends on how the scale of the event, breaks down over time. But I'm sure our young people would come out, and I'm sure they'd be willing to sing and participate. So,
Any other activities that you would see? We've got music, drama, talent show, poetry, storytelling. Anything else you want to add to number 6?
not from my part, Paul. Honestly, I think it looks like a great start.
One suggestion that I've heard, I think not from you, but was that we have enough diverse representations in our steering committee from different aspects of the restoration movement that we might be able to devote an evening or a certain span of time for the Monongahela kids to present and celebrate, for the LDS kids to have a chance, Community of Christ, perhaps the Book of Mormon Foundation, Restorationists. Um, I mean, that kind of consideration to try to welcome the diversity of people from across the restoration movement is something that perhaps we should be considering too.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, Paul. I love the thought of evening worship. I love the thought of including different spectrums of the restoration in that, and their youth component. I think that would be amazing to have that type of interfaith interaction over the course of a few days.
I think so too. I thank you for highlighting that, because it seems to me that we could easily fill up a week, and I mean, the evening activities, a talent show probably is going to take a whole evening. Um, and the idea that there might be scholarships given. Graceland is interested in scholarships for students that would want to use that footing there to springboard them into school. That's clearly one of the places where scholarships could fit. But then there could be other kind of scholarships to go other places too. And so, just the simple fact that if we can get kids doing things that will justify awards, then that brings us up then to Aaron and what can we do to fund those awards. So yeah, to have the individual groups, and I'm not sure how we do that fairly. Um, that's, but yeah, we need to discuss it. We need to get people to get their insight here, and the floor is open, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have good ideas on this one, please speak up.
Oh yeah, last time we had talked about this. I had volunteered to do an Elvis gospel show.
That's right. Elvis did receive the Book of Mormon. Okay, so there's all kinds of celebrations here, and one of the uh, one of the issues that I think we're going to have to be prepared to face is that there there may need to be screening to determine what what does our steering committee want to authorize to support, and are there some things that we choose to prefer not to present. So again, that's up to the steering committee, and so thank you for raising that point as well. But yeah, how well does Elvis fit in? Interesting story there. And just simply to tell that story is something that might very well merit a niche. Hmm. Okay, let's go back to where we were.
Hey, Paul,
Yes.
it's Gary Whiting.
Great.
Something has just sort of popped into my head while we're talking here about things, and I'm not sure where it fits into this agenda. Um, over the 200 years, there's been a lot of different ways that the various churches have sought to promote the Book of Mormon. I was thinking might be fun to have a historical theater where you might be able to see missionary presentations or movies that have been done over the years from the different groups and have opportunity for people to sit down and just look at those things in a kind of a historical theater.
I remember that one of the fascinating things that I've seen is the big canvases that were used back in the Victorian era to portray the gospel, and those canvases would have a significant segment on the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, I remember when we were growing up, I was growing up in Spokane, Washington, and the church there uh, got one of the TV stations to run Other Sheep. It was an old RLDS missionary film about the Book of Mormon. And there's probably items like that that would be of interest. Um, maybe you could set up a little hall where you had some historical displays of tracks and that kind of stuff. But
Neat.
I was thinking, it might be kind of fun to sit down and look at what they did in the 1910s or 30s or 50s or 60s to promote the Book of Mormon over the years. Might be interesting. It might be part of the celebratory. I don't know, historical anyway.
Well, I would. That reminds me that the presentation that Brother Edinger gave on the Thursday evening program a while back about the gospel in Nigeria showed that it was a Monongahela tract. No, Monongahela missionaries in Nigeria were carrying an RLDS tract, which had the auditorium address on it. And Gobernadette, whom I got to share time at Graceland, read that and contacted the auditorium, and so came to Graceland, and he had established 10 congregations in Nigeria. And I don't know to what extent those congregations are of the Monongahela persuasion and to what extent they moved into the community of Christ, but I'm confident there's some overlap there. Fascinating, though, how the the publicity of the Book of Mormon has such a fascinating history behind it. And to be able to pull that in, I think that's a good idea. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah. Well,
All right. Well, Aaron, going back to you for questions on finance.
Well, we have found a program that's free that we can put out to let people donate to the cause. And the last thing I needed to do is get the bank information so that so people could do Venmo or Apple Pay or basically it's a free service. And if somebody wanted to donate to that program a couple dollars, they could actually do that as well. It's not a cost to the organization. So Steve and I were working on that earlier, and I kind of got off of it for a little bit. But now that the holidays are almost over, we can get back into that and set up a funding mechanism to be able to get some seed money to start putting some of this together. So then the steering committee, we need to decide on how many days it's going to be and what kind of cost. And you said that the Shaw Center cost about $1,000 a day, which is fine. So I need to start figuring out what other kind of costs we're going to have. If we're going to provide lunches and dinners or something in the commons over at Graceland, then we need to try to figure that out as well. Or if Graceland just wanted to provide that, and then they would just charge the individuals outside of our organization, then that's would be taken into account as well.
Let me address
we
that
need
a
to
little bit.
also what,
In talking with
John?
John Godfrey about that, the Commons is an independent organization, but at present, I can buy well, up until this semester, for $40, I was able to buy a 5 meal punch card. So that was $8 a meal. Now it's gone up to 45. But nonetheless, even if it's um, $50 for 5 meals, or even a little bit more than that by then, the price has been very reasonable. And that's for all you can eat out of several different buffet portions. And so it really is an excellent food service. They do require that we supply at least 50 people for them to be open. So
Wow.
so if yeah, that I think is a comparatively simple, straightforward, and very inexpensive addition to the overall cost,
Mm-hmm.
whether individually or as a group.
Yeah. Now, it's a little early to be doing this, but one of the things that's it would be very helpful in trying to come up with a budget or at least potential expenses for this and how much money we need to raise for it would be the number of people that would be coming to the organization. So I'm wondering if we should set up a registration type thing within the next year or so for people to register that they're going to be there because if we had more of an idea of how many people would be coming to this for each of the different things, then we could set up the what location each of those are going to be and how much it would cost, and then we'd know how to fund it.
Okay, we have Eva Yelly on the steering committee. She is a conference planner, and I've asked her to help us out with projection year by year so that we meet the targets and exceed the targets rather than allowing them to slip past us. So we have for 26, 27, 28, 29, and then ultimately on 30, everything has to be ready. So that she will be preparing for us a plan so that we can know what has to be done by uh, by what basic meeting time.
Okay. So that would include the number of people that will be attending each of the things, depending on if we're doing one, two, three
Yes,
on the screen. Okay.
not to pull all that information together, but she she's a conference planner and so has expertise in this area.
Okay. Then, in regards to this on the fundraising screen, we talked about having the houses painted in Victorian colors and having a kind of a walkthrough with the radio or some kind of a deal recording that could pick up that would be transmitted, I guess. So when the person goes to the house and they want to know a story about that house, uh, and what the history of that in Lamoni. Is this a different thing that
Yes,
that I'm talking about here?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
Bicentennial.
Sesquicentennial is in 29. We are planning to have those tours available, so they should be available for the bicentennial. But I don't see that necessarily as contributing financially to us.
Okay. Well, be part of the marketing program, I would think.
Yeah, it is that, and maybe there's a way to capitalize on it. I'm not going so I don't want to veto anything in advance.
Yeah. I'm
So
sorry, I was getting the two things confused, but yeah.
just so we know that there is a website up. Right now it's predominantly for untold Lamoni stories, but this next week or so I'm building out the rest of it where I'll have the sesquicentennial event and the bicentennial event on the website. And so all of our funding through the bank is set up to receive payments and donations. We just need to add uh, we just need to add the ability to register or to donate towards the other two events. Right now, all it is for just Lamoni Historical Association in general or the registration for the ULS. So anyway, just that is in action and working, Aaron. So we're getting traction there.
Okay. After this meeting or another meeting, maybe tomorrow night, could you and I get together and talk about what you've done with the bank? So I'm just up to speed on it.
I'm sure we could.
Yeah. Uh, is that a link on the it says register for the event and event details um, on the website, but is there a link to donate to it right there? Is that what you're doing so they could uh, donate on the screen?
Yes. So if you click on that, it'll take you to a payment portal, and there you can donate just in general, or you can register. I need to clarify that on the website. Like I said, I'm going to be rebuilding the whole entire thing this next couple of weeks. So it'll be clear on that as far as the rest of the events. But I
Okay.
wanted to get the Untold Lamoni stories going, so hopefully pull that off somehow.
Okay. Are you able to, do you have a program that creates those QR codes?
Yes.
Okay. That would be an easy way to get people to that site. We could put it on all of our periodicals that we might be printing for the marketing of the thing.
Yeah, all of our flyers we're doing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And on those posts at the Victorian houses and all that kind of stuff, that would be good. Okay.
yeah, that'd be a good idea. Um, I guess it's on our Facebook page, the Liberty Hall's Facebook page, and we also have a Facebook page for the Lamoni Historical Association, but I didn't set it up right, so Eva's trying to reset it up. But anyway, so we're getting it out there the best we can, but we're improving on it.
Okay. Anybody else need anything from me?
Thank you, Aaron.
Mhm.
You've had some experience as a fundraiser. This is a pretty good sized project. What kind of prospects do you think that we have to raise funds in advance to make it so that it can be a minimal cost to the individuals coming?
Well, there's a few things that we can do, and so the first thing we need to do is get um, legitimized on Guidepost or GuideStar, I think, and I'm trying to work through that right now. I set up Share, which is another nonprofit organization in the Kansas City stake, and we've got that all done. But the problem is we were looking through that to try to see if we could get that accomplished, and now it sounds like they're wanting several $1,000s to do that. So I'm trying to figure out how to get it with the way it used to be. It was just we submit financials from time to time or once a year or so, and then the organizations that are willing to give us grants could go find us online and understand that it's a a real organization, because evidently they've had some fraud involved with some of this stuff, and the GoFundMe pages and stuff like that cost quite a bit of money. They take about 5% of what you raise, and we don't want to do anything like that. Um, so there's a couple different things that we're still looking at. Not any particular grants at this time, but we've got to get that the Guide Star or Kansas City Community Foundation organized, so they know that we're a real organization. It might be good to talk to that the person that was in the other that had something to do with another museum, Decatur County or something like that. The first time that we met, to see how they're doing in doing that kind of a thing. Was that Decatur, or do you remember what I'm talking about, Paul?
Yes, that was the Decatur County Museum of Leon. We do have other resources. Steve and I are involved in the museologist discussions on Friday mornings, and we may be able to gather more information that way.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, Bruce. Bruce looks like he had a question.
Yeah, Bruce.
I just wanted to say that Mark Hensley has joined us.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Thank you.
hi, Mark.
If you don't mind me asking, how much seed money would you all be looking for to kind of get started? I've kind of heard some numbers around per day for like the utilization of the Shaw Center and the food, but kind of what do you estimate you'd be looking at to get started?
Well, it depends on how many days we're having it. I would say at least $2,000 a day. That would cover the Shaw Center and have some extra money to try to be able to get periodicals and things like that together to start the marketing. I have a place here in Kansas City that actually has in the past printed up all the stuff that I have for a camp that I'm also on the board of, Midiog, and they have never charged me for that. And we could put a mailing out if we could get a list together of people that are supportive of this thing, and we could have a fundraising period of time, like 45 days, to send out letters. I can get that sent out pretty cheaply as well. So that would be about $1,000, but I think I can get it cheaper than that. So I think maybe $1,500 to $2,000 a day for each day, depending on which one of those 1, 2, or 3 that we do.
So in other words, $10,000 would be a good beginning target.
Yes, and I mean it's going to trickle in, and we're not going to spend it all at once. But as we do the periodicals and things like that to raise funds, then yeah, but that would be a good target, I would think, because that would give us enough to cover the Shaw Center for however many days. And I'm just taking the middle ground, so say 5 days. Um, and then what I'm going to need to do from there is to figure out how much each of the events is going to cost and what people are willing to do. But I don't want it to cost them a whole lot because they're going to be staying in a hotel or something like that for a period of time, or campgrounds or something like that too. I don't know how the campgrounds are re, uh, compared up there or prepared for a big event like this. I know you get Nine Eagle State Park and a couple others when I was up that way. Um, I don't know. I have to do some checking on that too, and see if that period of time, this summer, if there's a big draw or if it's more of an empty park. I don't know if it's a state park, so it's not a Army Corps. So we probably need to get some figures on people that are coming about how much it's going to cost so they can set their vacation time up for it and be a destination place.
Do you have a like a 501 or is it a 501c3?
Yes.
And that's already established, and I assume funding like accounts and things like that are all set up already.
Bank accounts already set up, 501c3 set up. The 990 is going to be filed in May, which doesn't have much to it right this minute. We don't have to file the first year. But yeah, we've got all that. That's really what I'm good at, is making sure that we get the legal documents filed.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of share some of this information with the Book of Mormon Foundation. They do have funds, and so they may be willing to maybe perhaps even sponsor some of this. So
Great.
I'll definitely be at our next board meeting. I'll bring this up, and Mr. Cook, if you'd be able to. Would you be able to send this presentation to me, and I could kind of just pare it down to just some cliff notes and just share some of that?
I can do that.
That'd be
So,
great.
what I'd like to ask everybody if they could help us put together a mailing list, because I think one of the fundraising things that we could do is send out a mailing. And if we could start getting a list, and basically we just need name and address and phone number, maybe. If the people don't want their phone number out there, that's fine too. But we could add that to the website so we could gather that information for letter or because one of the things that we do at Midiog that is very successful is mailing list for a campaign, and we could have this every year for the next 4 years to be able to gather the funds together. But we don't need $10,000, Zach, all at once. If we had just a several
Sure.
$1,000s to start it out for like the first mailing, I think that we'd use that for the marketing to be able to get other donations. I think that would be the way to go. That's my thought.
The other option too is I wonder. I'll kind of talk to them too about if they send out a Book of Mormon magazine quarterly,
Oh,
called The Witness, and it's sent out to 5,000 or 6,000 Book of Mormon believers as well. So I wonder if just including a blurb about this and that, and kind of just what this is about, might be of benefit as well.
that would be awesome. Even if we needed to buy an advertisement space in that book, that would
That
be
would
awesome.
be
That would be well
um,
worth the money, I believe. We put
uh,
that QR code on there.
Yeah, that would probably be free of charge. So, in and of itself. So,
Okay.
I'll kind of, if you could send me these notes, I'll kind of make a few recommendations to the board on a few of those things. So,
Awesome.
Thank you, Zach.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron. Let me point out that I believe Martin Harris mortgaged his farm to be able to get that first publication of this book. And we're not even asking for anybody to mortgage a farm this time. And here Zach is coming up with a foundation that's ready to help get the funding and make things roll. Exciting.
Well, I do live on a farm. However, I don't know that I'm quite there, being willing to mortgage it at this point.
Well,
So
that
Zach,
tractor looks pretty. That
Zach,
tractor
can
looks
I
pretty
get
good.
your email address? You can put it in the chat if you want.
That tractor looks pretty good. Maybe we could ask Carol if she'd make us a painting that we could put at auction or something.
Wow. Yeah, to auction off Carol Kozlowski's paintings. Wow, but if she's willing, that's a remarkable idea. Okay, but let's see what she can turn out by 2030. Huh? That'll be fun. All right, we're at 9:20, and um, we have covered, except for inviting Diane to give us a summation of what we have in the notes on what we've covered today. Um, that's, I think, the last item on the agenda.
Am I live?
No, you're not live. You're Memorex.
I'm Memorex. Let me mute myself. Oops. We good? All right. Nope, I'm not good. Can everybody hear me?
No,
Yes.
very hard.
So,
Very hard to hear.
okay, I'll sit back this way. So first of all, the one thing I just want to ask is, with the people that are on tonight, I've got a lot of you that aren't part of my email group. Yeah, I know. Aren't part of the email group that I send out. So I guess everyone that's on, do you want to be part of this list? So like I'll be sending out all of the meeting notes about the Bicentennial. So I've got about 15 of you here that aren't part of that group.
Well, I want to be updated. I didn't see my name on the list, so
Okay,
I would like
Blair.
to.
Okay, Blair, I'll get you put on. And then, okay, I saw a thumbs up somewhere. Gary. Okay. Is there anybody else?
You can include me on that list.
Zach. Where's my list? Okay, yeah, Zach, I've already got you on.
Am I on it? I'm sure I'm on it, right?
So, oh yeah.
Okay.
You can't get away from us. Sorry, Aaron. So
Okay.
basically, I guess the ones I don't have, Fred, I don't have you on, and Shane, Edward, Tony, Deb, Carol Lee, Joetta, David, Dale, Rick, and Boyd. Do any of you want to be added to these notifications?
Boyd has his hand up.
Yes.
Boyd. Okay, and who said yes?
Me, Shane.
Shane. Okay.
Boyd, unmute yourself.
Ron
So-
Edwards. Ron Edwards
Edwards.
would like his name in.
I'm unmuted.
Okay, and Boyd.
Yeah. John Edwards, yeah.
And John. Okay, one second. I'm trying to look at two different screens at the same time here. Okay, wait a second. Who was the last one? John?
John.
Oh, wow. Okay, he came on afterwards. Let me type that in really quick. I can't type and hold the mic.
Okay, well, I'm sorry I skipped Mark, and since Mark has joined us, Mark Hensley, if you would like to go back to our discussion about youth activities, I can pull that screen up again if you'd like to share, and if you want to say something about it.
Mark, you're muted.
How about now?
Now we hear you.
Okay. I was unsure of how many days we were going to have. Might help to know. Am I hearing you? You are saying up to 8 days,
Yes.
and so I think that you know from camps that I've had in the past, this may be much bigger, but my wife and I used for 13 years. We used to put a camp over a weekend, and we had 3 age groups, and for that camp, we rotated the same teachers at 3 different age levels. We had 5 to 8, and 9 to 12, and then 13 on up. I don't know if we need to rotate instructors or not like that, but I thought we would have 2 classes in the day, and that would be the morning class would be more the story of a certain time period of the Book of Mormon, and the afternoon class might be one that is more spiritual, understanding the spiritual aspect of that story, and then maybe have an activity in the afternoon that might be a fun reenactment of something that happened, or some other fun that they can maybe learn from as well. I've really not had anybody firmly commit to wanting to work with the youth yet. I think that depends largely on what groups join us. Are we going to have groups from restoration groups, remnant groups, the Pennsylvania group? Are we going to have LDS there? Are we going to have who all is going to be there? And that would make a difference. Who we would ask to help with this. But I think it's very important that we get a lot of youth there, because they're the ones that are going to be the next generation. And I would like to see every youth get between the covers of the Book of Mormon copy in the middle age group, and also the older youth get a copy of the Book of Mormon and maybe even a copy of the Between the Covers, because that gives them the story. It's easy. It gets them up to speed as to what's going on in those pages that might otherwise be confusing. That's about all I've come up with so far. I've got, information from youth materials from the LDS Church, but I haven't really gathered or been able to find youth materials from other restoration groups. So, any thoughts beyond what I've just shared will be welcome.
I'm curious, Mark, if you think that these activities, classes should be on the internet.
I'm not quite following you, Paul.
What should we have cameras on these classes and broadcast them on Zoom or whatever internet facility we're using in order to make them available more widely?
I hadn't even thought of that. I hadn't given that any thought. I guess I'm hoping that kids will really be there. The experience would be a lot better if they were there with other kids, with the teacher. I'm hoping we get a lot of kids there. Now, in the past, some congregations would say, well, we don't have any youth. And I would say, well, you got grandparents there? Yeah, we got some grandparents. Well, get them to bring their grandkids. And excuse me, got a cold here on top of everything else. But, and they would bring the grandkids in. I don't care where the kids came from. One year we had kids from 5 states in Canada. So if you make something good, why, when you get the word out, I'm hoping to have at least, wouldn't it be nice to have 100 kids or more?
All right. Yep, that's
Contact all the congregations and say, look, you may not have youth, but you've got grandparents, and get your youth there, and what will it take to get the youth there, and really do some recruiting.
I like the idea that we could have 100 kids, and if you had those 3 groups equitably divided, that's a pretty good task for an educational experience. So let's look forward to it. Continue to work on it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for getting here and sharing with us.
Well, I'm sorry.
Boyd has a hand up.
I'm late here. We had a farm crisis and vehicle collapse. And couldn't get here.
Okay, Boyd has a hand up.
Well, I was also late. I was about 15 minutes, so you might talk about this beforehand, and I wasn't sure. Have y'all talked about something as far as a music function with this part, like a combined choir of all the different groups and whatnot?
Yeah, we said you're gonna sing a solo every night.
Well, you want to do scare everybody away? They're one of the stakes around here, I think down in Missouri, had actually expressed an interest of doing some kind of combined musical or something, and
yes, that's the
other things.
Yeah, I would like to see some sort of a pageant as well. Get some theater people here, and they could have an evening, end the week with a pageant with the youth.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
Now, the remnant people had something like that a few years ago, and I did ask, could you redo it? And it was kind of an unequivocal answer. But I can keep at them, see if they could recreate that.
Mine wasn't done yet, so.
Oh,
Are we envisioning this is going to be mainly a Community of Christ event, or is it going to be taking in all the restoration groups being invited?
It clearly is all the restoration and some beyond that.
Yeah, that's the way I envision it. The coming together of something we can all agree on. It'd be nice to do that.
Josh Gailey and well, let me highlight that Jack Ergo is the master musician, and in terms of putting a choir together, instrumentalists together, those are possibilities that could very well be incorporated in the celebration. And so he's not with us tonight. I think he's just out of the country. Josh Gailey is here though, and I have him listed on the celebratory committee. And so, Josh, if you're still with us and have a comment, you're welcome.
No, it sounds wonderful. I was just thinking of one of our evangelists that was just ordained, Larry Champagne, he and his wife, and I'll reach out to them between now and the next call, and he would be excellent both with incorporation and with the youth and some of the music, plans that are being discussed. So
Josh,
see if we can't bring some talent around it.
Which group are you with, Josh?
I'm with the Church of Jesus Christ.
Monongahela in Pennsylvania.
Yes, okay, that's good. That's great.
And he's someone that eats and breathes Book of Mormon, and so has a wealth of material to share. So
Amen.
Very pleased to have him on the steering committee.
What I have in mind is, there's different ways you can teach the Book of Mormon. You could teach it from a historical aspect, the archaeology and all that. You could teach it from a story aspect, all the stories that are in the book. You could teach it from the spiritual inspiration, passages that are in the book. And so what I imagine is we do something with the story in the morning and something with the inspiration in the afternoon. Does that sound like something that pleases anyone? So they get both aspects of that passage.
Notice that Blair Bryant indicated that his mother had what I think he called the lights in the wilderness. That's your I think that's your inspiration in the afternoon kind of thing.
And is that still in print somewhere?
Yes.
The short Book of Mormon is still in print, available at the Herald House.
Really? Okay.
And Paul, this is Josh. I'm sure we could get, donations. I know, I don't know if we have a preference on what Book of Mormons might be handed out, but we have a miniature Book of Mormon that is wonderful. It's small, compact, but I'm sure I could get 500 or 1,000 depending on how many people attend. So everybody, including the kids, could all have a copy.
Wow.
The restored version is the cheapest that I knew of until tonight. It's $12 a copy. This last I knew. I'm not sure if everybody subscribes to that edition or not. But what they've basically done is put the chiasms, the words into the chiasms, and what I find is it's more readable and remembering the things that you read is easier when it's put in that chiasmic format. they're $12 a copy the last time they were.
But
I
Mark,
think
if I
that's a
get Josh correctly, he's suggesting that the Monongahela group might be able to put together
Mm-hmm.
a contribution of 1,000 miniature books to give to all the kids.
Are they going to be readable though? Like I see those miniature New Testaments, and I don't think anybody ever reads one. Those little,
Well, I just used mine on Sunday, but I guess it depends on whose eyes are looking at it.
Yeah.
This is with kind of the, I guess what in this group, what you might call LDS versification. I mean, we use the standard versification, so that's maybe the only controversial, piece is whose verses are getting handed out, I guess. But
Well, all the verses pretty much say the same thing, and it really doesn't make a difference. It's a chapter or verse, really.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I hear from that. I think that's a great idea to get those books, and that 1,000 of them would be $12,000. So this is some of the stuff that I can do to put that together.
You're talking about two different books here. I think Aaron, what Mark was mentioning was the New Covenant edition at $12 a piece, and Josh is talking about a miniature, which the Monongahela people might well be able to donate.
Oh, okay.
I would say
correct. Yeah.
really readable, big enough print, readable material. And that's what I hope I want to give them something that they're actually going to read and look at and cherish. And so I just know when I get those little New Testaments, I don't think too many people read them.
So we need to really spool up the 1830 printing, reprint, and have those out. The one without verses, the one before they messed it up and tried to split it all up and screw it up. Anyway, we should have a bunch of these sitting out there. I know the Herald House has them, LDS Church has them, I guess, or Deseret Book. But anyway, this is what I think we should have out there.
You get pretty much the same story from all of them, and it's just chapter, verse, and punctuation, and it's kind of
the whole point is we're doing the bicentennial of the first printing of the Book of Mormon, and so to have not have the actual, a reprint at least of what it was is to me kind of fun.
have it available.
Boyd has a question.
Boyd, what you got?
Well, I do like the original Book of Mormon idea, but if you did go with something with versification, wouldn't it be interesting if we could encourage the folks that put together the the Restored Covenant edition and have versification for both LDS and the RLDS side in it? I mean, it's just had just a little bit of ink, and they can actually have both of them in there, and that way you can cross-reference very easily if you just have one book.
Paul, that'd be a good idea to see if Stan could help us with that. Stan has a program that pulls all kinds of different books together for references and also for ministry service resources. That might be very helpful for something like that.
You're talking about Stan Troe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of resources being brought up here, and so it's fascinating to have you all tossing out ideas and discussing them. I'm intrigued that there are so many different Book of Mormons available, and as we look at the international dimension, being able to get books in the languages of the people beyond English is one of those elements that we need to consider, I think.
Oh, so you're really thinking big. Maybe a Spanish edition or a French edition, huh?
French, yeah.
Well, for my part, having excavated at Nauvoo where the 1840 edition was published. And having found those tiny pieces of print, to recognize that that book was 500 pages and it was small enough that a gentleman could fit in his hip pocket. Um, the miniature, I suspect, is going to be a bit like that, and I'm intrigued because that represents another interesting historical dimension for the book. And so, for us to be able to tell the history of the book in this process, is one of the things that um, needs to be an underlying factor, I think. So, again, thank you for helping to bring that up. Blair, go ahead.
A while ago, it was mentioned that we have different presentations. What about a theater where they constantly are showing something about the Book of Mormon, a program that is something about the Book of Mormon, but changes hour by hour so that people can just stop in and see it. You go to any of these places like Williamsburg, Virginia, and you got a theater that is showing something about that period of time. But many presentations could be scrolled through and people could go in and out and see them at any time. This would just be, I think, an excellent a sideshow.
Well, that's a good idea, I think. They've got cartoons, that are, for maybe for littler eyes and ears. And then I think they've got adult publication too. So of all the stories, and that wouldn't be hard to find, I wouldn't think. Have a tent for each, and have some snacks in there with the movies and run that when there isn't something else going on.
Yeah.
The Shaw Center has three theaters. That is, there's one, the big main theater is where major activities that'll seat about 1,000. Then there's a raked theater that is very nice for probably 200. And then there's a small theater for about 100. And so all three of those could be utilized during our presentations. And so, plus there's other places on the campus we could also use if we need to.
Yeah.
So thank you, Blair. Blair, that's a neat idea. I have a note of it that an ongoing theater of history.
Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's 9:45 already. And as usual, it's my pleasure to host a fun discussion, and thank you all for your participation. I do commonly try to sing us out, and this evening I'd like to do so with the following. We limit not the truth of God to our poor reach of mind, or notions of our day and sect, crude, partial, and confined. For let a new and better hope within our hearts be stored. The Lord hath yet more light and truth to break forth from his word. Lord has more light and truth to break forth from his word, and we are in the process of trying to help break that forth. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sharing with us this evening. May the Lord bless you, and that monkey that's getting a kiss. Oh, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And
I would like to ask Steve, can I stay on with Steve for a few minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, family.
Good night.